92.7 WMDX. And a very good morning to you from the John and Gordy Show, the studio in Madison, Wisconsin.
The global headquarters of Civic Media. That's right.
That's what Todd says, right?
That's right. Yes.
Oh, my.
Good morning, John.
Hey, it's a pretty nice day so far.
It's 21 degrees. Feels like 14. Expecting a high about 42 today. A lot of sunshine on the way. We have clear skies
Warm
right now.
day.
Yeah, it is going to warm up nicely.
Probably be able to, fire up the grill one last time and get out there and, stock up for winter. All the brats you can grill and freeze them. And then, all winter long during the Packer games, when they go into the playoffs. Not happening. Not happening.
Everybody's speculating that, what's her name? Who's going to be at the Packer game this? Because they're playing the Kansas City. Taylor Swift. Yeah, I couldn't think of her name for a minute.
Yeah, she's probably going to be there.
Oh,
I mean, why would she skip going to Lambeau Field? No way, right?
Right.
She'll be there.
She will be there.
Probably.
Yeah, that's your
Probably.
prediction.
Yeah, that's my prediction.
She's moved in with.
Has she really?
Well, they have helicopters flying over Kansas City over at the guys. Well, now I can't think of his name.
You're checking out intently, right? And I see Taylor Swift moving quickly.
Well, into
the apartment.
They were monitoring that there were moving trucks backing up into his Travis Kelce's house. Yeah. Unloading stuff from Taylor Swift's. So she's moving into his mansion, and she will be at the Packer game, they're saying, this Sunday. I think they play Sunday.
Well,
right?
Aaron Rodgers basically likes dating celebrities. Isn't that correct?
Okay.
I think that's what I heard. But, he was dating a celebrity early on, an actress, really a brilliant actress. And she was in a show called Newsroom. So, and she's fantastic. She was on The Daily Show doing bits on there. And she was dating Aaron Rodgers. And no one really covered it anywhere near this ridiculous coverage we're getting now.
The biggest star in the world.
So what, right? Who cares? Who cares? It's not my kind of music,
Okay.
So, no one knows that, but it's not my kind of music. Now, you know that. So, yuck. Well, anyway, the lyrics are real nice and all that stuff, breaking up and making up and all that other stuff. But, just not into that.
Not your cup of tea.
Not my cup of tea. Okay. This is such a weird thing because I'm just not used to being up to date on music. Mm-hmm. And up to date in the relation to my sons, who are Gen Zers, and I listen to their music, and I was helped, to learn about some of the groups that they really like.
Are they into Taylor Swift?
No.
Okay.
But it's kind of we've overlapped the music that we both like. Mm. And one of those groups just happens to be the Rolling Stones, right? Okay. So I'm thinking, I'm pretty hip and all this stuff, but AARP, AARP.
Yeah, the magazine.
Yeah, this I get their emails, and their email here is selling Rolling Stones tickets. AARP.
Do they have a deal?
65 and over, right there. Buy Rolling Stone. By the way, there's a max you can buy. You can only buy under 8 tickets. So, members get the earliest access to Stones Tour 24 Hackney Diamond tickets. There you go. We are in the front of the line.
How much are the tickets?
Does it crazy?
Does it give you any ideas on pricing?
If
you wanted to, let's just say you want to buy a pair.
They don't want to give everybody a heart attack. Those people over 65. You got to find that out on your own,
Okay.
But
that means they're pricey.
It's just crazy, AARP. Rolling Stones tickets.
Have you ever seen the Stones?
Different thing. Yeah, I've seen the Stones.
I saw them on the Steel Wheels tour.
You did?
Yeah, 1993, I think.
All right.
Or 94, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw
them at Alpine Valley.
I saw them a long time ago at Milwaukee County Stadium.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In fact, we camped out overnight in front of County Stadium.
Any idea what year that might be that you saw?
I don't know, somewhere in the 60s. Or maybe early 70s. God, I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was such a blur. I was doing so many drugs. So, not really. I wasn't into any of that stuff. Maybe a little pot here and there, but I got tired from pot, so it didn't help.
So the Stones are on tour. AARP has a special deal.
That's right. They put all the senior citizens in the front of the line. Sweet. Just like that. It's some weird thing happening in the world here,
I'll bet those tickets are still pretty pricey, even for AARP.
I bet they are.
Senior citizen discount.
Yeah. Okay, look, I'm going to learn more.
Okay.
All right. So I push the button, learning more.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Black Friday. They've got the tour dates here.
Yeah.
Houston, Texas, Glendale, Arizona, Las Vegas,
They coming to Chicago, Soldier Field,
East Rutherford.
Yeah.
Let me continue here. Foxborough, Orlando, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Denver,
getting close.
Chicago, Soldier Field.
There you go.
Yep. There it is. That's the one. That would be the one.
What's the date?
That is June 27th.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you have Los Angeles, Vancouver, Santa Clara. So anyway, that is, and those tickets go on sale for the Soldier Field at 10 a.m.
Today?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Get your credit cards ready.
This is an up-to-date email that I got from AARP. First one. Boom. Rolling Stones, seniors, front of the line. All right.
No idea how much the tickets are, but it'll be a lot.
That's true. It did not tell you how expensive these tickets
are. It must say that somewhere. You just
it must be like $400 or $500 a ticket. Right?
Oh, easy. That's in the nosebleed section. $500 at least.
They must have tickets for senior citizens near an elevator, I would assume.
Right.
So,
it only makes sense.
I think so. Maybe I get a discount, an AARP discount, like 10%. Sure. That's usually the AARP discount.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Boy.
Well, we'll do a little checking on that.
Hey, you know what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe the Rolling Stones wanted this. They wanted AARP to sell these tickets first, put the seniors in the front of the line first.
Why not?
Because they are seniors, very much seniors.
I think you can.
Right?
I think you can get the AARP discounts when you turn 50. I think that's
right. I think so. Yeah, you start getting the magazines and
all that.
Yeah. So this might be intentional. This could be a directive from the Rolling Stones themselves, Keith Richards and Mick Jagger.
I'll bet it is. Yeah, we'll do a little more investigation into that.
Yeah,
and then goes on.
If anybody wants to buy tickets, AARP has them, and you're older. Okay, all right. So
surprised they're not playing in Milwaukee. Maybe they'll add a Milwaukee date. Of course, Chicago's close enough.
Chicago's it.
Soldier Field.
Soldier Field. Yeah. I wonder if down there they have the what is it? The
I don't
generic restrooms. What do they call them?
Gender
neutral restrooms or whatever.
Gender neutral restrooms at Soldier Field.
I would think
McCormick Place they have them.
Okay,
and that's huge and gigantic, and a lot of very big conventions go there, and it's got to be a shock to the system for seniors attending one of their events, finding out it's gender neutral. Whoa! But
it's a changing world.
It is a changing world.
Got to get world too.
But it's very controversial in places where they don't have gender neutral bathrooms. We have them here at the station.
We do
on State Street, 1 block away from the Capitol, where they probably don't have them.
Well, I don't know. You should go up there and investigate that too.
We should. Well.
Okay. We got a lot on our plate this morning, don't we?
No, we actually do have a lot on our plate. And we're going to talk about the millions of Midwesterners who may lose their Obamacare. That's being, regurgitated by Trump. It's actually the American Community, whatever. What is it? The
American
ACA.
ACA, healthcare.
Right.
What is ACA? Americans of, no, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it weird? We just went blank on that one. Okay. But anyway, student loan forgiveness is being rolled out. Yeah. And GOP is basically threatening to gut Arizona colleges unless those campuses, get this, the only reason I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
They're going to gut financing, the funding for their colleges in Arizona, unless campuses control speech.
Oh, boy.
This is truly fascism. This is authoritarian takeover if I've ever seen this thing happen. This is due to Trump and his agenda, and the Republicans are very happy to go along with it, and they want those campuses, they want to quell free thinking on those campuses.
Mm-hmm. And who they can invite to speak and all of that.
Yes, absolutely.
So all on the table now.
Yeah, we got that. We've got Gen Z. They can't think properly, so therefore they shouldn't be able to vote until they're 21.
Who's saying that?
So says Scott Walker, and we'll get to that story.
Well, he's not the governor anymore.
It's crazy,
What's he got
man.
to say about it?
Well, he's the president of Young American Federation, and that's a campus group. We'll get into that. Deplorables. That word was mentioned way more than the current term vermin. See, the media has not picked up on it. The deplorable thing. Oh, yeah, the deplorables.
Well, that was
vermin seems a little harder edged.
Deplorables was way back in 2016.
Right.
That was a Hillary Clinton.
Well, they're looking
thing.
at the media mentions back then for deplorables, and now they're looking at how many times it was mentioned in the media here. And vermin did not make it.
By the way, the ACA is the Affordable Care Act.
Affordable Care Act, that's right.
All right. 6:18, we're back in a minute.
So far, and we just kind of shoot this stuff first thing in the morning just to kind of get a lot of this ridiculous information out first, about getting Rolling Stones tickets. No one can afford them,
It's just the tip of the iceberg. We're just,
it is,
throwing it all out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We
don't know how much it's going to cost.
The Stones were at Camp Randall in the 80s
What's
or
that?
the 90s. So the Stones were at Camp Randall.
Okay. Oh, that came to us from a message that we had here. Okay.
Unrecognized texter, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We encourage that.
Yeah, you can text us.
Saw Pink Floyd
just
at Camp Randall.
Did you? Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was a big concert. A lot of people went to that. I did not go to that one.
I was between jobs when that happened because, then obviously I had to pay for tickets. But, yeah.
That was the floating pig concert, wasn't it?
It was.
Big, giant inflatables floating over Camp Randall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it crashed into a neighborhood just down the street.
You're making that up.
I did. Okay. But let's talk a little bit about, we're talking about senior citizens, healthcare, all that kind of stuff. And millions of Midwesterners could lose healthcare coverage if Trump repeals the ACA. And from what I remember, Trump lost because he wanted to repeal the ACA.
Well, it's one of the reasons. Yeah.
So it's one of the reasons, but one of the biggest reasons. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't come up with their own plan. There wasn't even anything close to a plan. So they just wanted to repeal it and see what happens, right? So now he's talking about it again. And this time he says he's seriously looking at alternatives to the ACA, which could cost over 7 million Midwesterners to lose their health insurance. Now, this is just Midwest alone here, 7 million Midwesterners.
Did he mention what the alternatives were?
No.
Did he get any specifics out there?
But he's very seriously looking at it.
At it.
So Biden's communications director, Michael Tyler, said, Donald Trump is campaigning on a threat to rip away health care from millions of Americans, so we're going to use every tool in our arsenal to make sure the American people know that lives are literally on the line in November.
Well, that's comforting, isn't it?
He
wants to take it away and no plan.
I would scope down that statement from the president. That seemed a little long and kind of tedious. But it did mention the story, and I'm bringing this up because it mentioned our local House of Representatives.
Okay.
Derek Van Orden was brought up in the article, and our Senator Ron Johnson was brought up in the article as well, because they want full repeal of the ACA, and that is without an alternative to go to. So you got to wonder how responsible these individuals are. Are they responsible? Do they have an alternative for all of us to get our health care? Affordable, by the way. Affordable health care should be mentioned here. So, a lot of people get supplemental help on the ACA marketplaces. But these guys have no plan, and they just want to repeal it because, government should be small to them. They have a philosophy of government should be small. It's not written anyplace. No one ever brought it up. It's something they made up, and they're, headstrong in making sure government's small, even though it will harm all Americans.
This just seems to be another buzzword, another talking point from the Republicans. As long as they can mention Obama in some way, boo,
exactly,
Obamacare, no, bad. It's just, wait, it's actually working.
Yeah.
People actually like it.
And people like it, absolutely.
Yeah.
There are problems with it, though, and when Trump tweeted this thing where he's taking a look at it, alternatives for the ACA, he reposted a article that was written by Senator Elizabeth Warren, and she is tearing into the ACA. And it's not because the ACA isn't working, but it's because insurance companies have found a way to navigate through it and make a lot of money and overcharge and basically run the ACA dry of its funding. So the problem here is there are limits to how much they can spend. And they have to spend at least 85%, I believe, of the money that they take in premiums from their customers. But that has been gamed. What they did was they bought all these pharmaceutical companies and whatever. They bought a whole bunch of arms of healthcare that now are separate, and they can bill higher amounts of money for their services instead of just going through the hospitals that used to bill. Now all these other ancillary businesses are billing higher and asking for more money and draining the ACA. and creating an uptick in ACA premiums. So they're gaming the system. It's not a flawed system. The ACA isn't flawed. It's just that no one could anticipate how the private sector would game the system, as they always do.
So they always have to tweak these things as it goes along. That's the problem. They're not up to date on, closing the loopholes or finding ways to update it and upgrade it as it goes along.
Great point.
No system is perfect. You gotta have a watchdog group out there to keep on top of it, of how, like you say, people are gaming, or these companies are gaming the system.
They're gaming the system, and that's an excellent point. The protests against the ACA kind of take everybody's eye off the ball of revamping it, watchdogging it, changing it as it needs changes, and no one's doing that because the Republicans don't want to even touch, not even help change the ACA around just a little bit to make it better and better and better as they find the flaws in the system. So it's getting worse and worse, and it's getting more costly, and we're going to see what happens basically on that. If Trump does get in and he replaces it, it's going to be a private sector solution. It's going to be solutions, by the way, that have already been tried. And that is, people with pre-existing conditions will go on a separate plan that is basically funded by insurance companies and the states, or maybe even the federal government, and it'll cost more money that way. And because the insurance companies will have to pay into this for high-risk pools, then everybody's premiums will go up. It just feeds on itself. It's just a really flawed system that we used to have. They want to go back to it. So
that's pretty much the mantra.
Yeah.
They just want to go back in time to some other time and place.
Just to let you know, I really know my health care.
Do you? You seem to.
I have been on top of this thing for the last 20 years, and I'm just like, and I've watched the ACA grow and how they put it together. Sadly, they didn't have a public option, which is something that should have happened. Public option would have given us at least an indication of more people went on the public option, then we'd know that that's what people want. See, and then Republicans didn't want the public option. Even some Democrats didn't want it. But if we had that, we'd know how many people were desiring an actual government-run healthcare system. And that's why it's sad that we never got that. So,
well, your calls are always welcome to join the conversation. 608-879-8255. We're going to take a brief time out here for some news updates, and then we'll be back.
We'll take 5.
We'll take 5.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Moonshine Light, the new low-calorie illegal whiskey for people who are looking for an easy way to lose excess pounds and their livers.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
This is Mad Radio, 92.7 WMDX, and we've hashed out what is going to happen to the ACA. Healthcare for Midwesterners will lose it if Trump becomes the president. Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, really awful, but not
makes
bad.
You think. We were watching. We were watching George Santos on CNN.
He's going to get tossed out.
And yeah, they're going to vote him up. But here's the thing, he's there speaking, and he's got a red sport jacket
kind
of some sort.
Yeah,
and,
burgundy.
And it looks like vinyl. It looks like vinyl. Naugahyde from some car seat. I don't know what car he got that from, but it is incredibly ugly. My God. This guy is...
he's toast, according to the...
He's toast. He's going to be out of
And that's
there.
according to the GOP speaker.
Well, they're forced to do this, right?
Yeah.
It remains defiant. He remains defiant.
It's the third time that they're trying to toss him out, but this time it looks like it's going to stick.
It's just ridiculous.
He's going to get tossed out, and he's going to wear that as a badge of honor.
Are they trying to get rid of him just because he's a habitual liar, or did he do something?
Well, that's it. A habitual liar. Yeah, his whole resume was made up. He shouldn't never have made it this far.
Right. I mean, he is dressed in drag, which, disqualifies him immediately
from the Republican
Party. Any involvement in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And, he's kind of skeevy.
Tim Burchett, the representative, that's the guy that got elbowed by McCarthy in the hallway. He's saying he's out.
Yeah.
So, and he's talking about something else now. Anyway, yeah. We'll keep track on that. It looks like that could happen any time now. George Santos getting tossed out.
I want to mention there's another story out of Texas, James Tallarico. He's got another little rant, and this is something. Do you have that queued up? The tweet from Nick Knudsen. He says, "Wow, watch this video." And I just thought we'd play this thing. It's Tallarico. He demolishes Greg Abbott's school voucher program again and exposes it for what it is, a taxpayer subsidy aimed at helping wealthy families. Again, it's over and over and over again. This is what is happening in this state. They do not have anybody in the state capitol saying it this plainly, this simply.
Mm-hmm.
It is just perfect. This is the way you frame it. This is the way you bring it up on the floor. This is what we should expose to the public. They should know this. This is why they want a statewide voucher system. All right. So why don't we play that video from James Tallarico from Texas talking about vouchers in that state.
Sam, do you have that?
Is that the one off of Twitter?
Yes.
Oh, got it.
Okay, here we go.
I think we got it.
Stand by.
There it is.
Sam is working feverishly behind the scenes right now. Sam Davison, our producer.
Voucher scam is being pitched as choice for poor and working class kids. But poor kids can't get the voucher for a whole host of reasons that we've already touched on. Because they're denied admission, because there aren't enough private school seats, because they can't cover the difference between the voucher and the tuition cost, or because the private school doesn't provide transportation or special education services. In other states that have tried these scams, this has become a coupon for wealthy families to save on their private school bills. New Hampshire's voucher program has similar prioritization as this bill. Do you know what % of their voucher program has gone to kids already in private school?
No, sir, we don't have that data.
It's 89%.
Oh,
do you know what percentage of the recipients of Arizona's voucher program were already in private school?
No, sir.
75%. Do you know what percentage of the recipients of Wisconsin's voucher program were already in private school?
No, sir.
76%.
Beautiful.
So under this bill, is it true that a wealthy CEO sending his 2 kids to an elite 4-year private high school would get more than $80,000 in taxpayer funds?
Wow. Jeez.
Presumably that's over some period of time that you're referring to.
So it is possible.
Marion, am I misspeaking? It's a possibility, is it not? I think that's a possibility, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, that's enough for a new Mercedes for that CEO at the expense of my students on the west side of San Antonio.
There you go.
And students in the third ward of Houston, and students in the Rio Grande Valley, students in suburbs and small towns around this state. This would be a massive transfer of wealth from the bottom to the top if this passes. It's welfare for the wealthy.
There you go. It's beautiful, isn't it? That's James Tallarico from Texas talking about the voucher system and speaking truth to power. Again, that's happening. That is something the Republicans in Wisconsin wanted to put forth, a statewide voucher system, and it would have gone to the wealthy. And as you heard, I think 75% of Wisconsin already are in the private schools receiving this money. And it's just another handout to the wealthy or those people who do make more money and other that are pretty well off at this point. And so, besides the continued attempts to cut their taxes and give all that money back to them, they deserve it. They earned it. All the money that the wealthy had paid in for taxes. Not only that, but they also want to pay the tuition and make sure that those people who are sending their kids, the wealthy people sending their kids to private schools, get it paid for by other taxpayers who can't afford to pay for anything.
How do we change that? How do you get that corrected?
We stop the voucher system completely.
Yeah.
It was never meant to be paying for private schools or, for that matter, religious schools. But they managed to get around it by having, certain funding mechanisms that, like scholarships. They made that excuse. And so people can put money into scholarships, and then that money can be distributed to the taxpayers who send their kids to voucher schools and private schools. So, they've found every way around it. And the courts, the conservative courts have basically said, you can do it. You send money to the religious schools. I don't see a problem with that. So
Rich get richer.
Yeah. It just, it is gross. But, this Tallarico guy, keep your eye on this guy. He's pretty good. He frames everything pretty well and brings it right down to where, rubber meets the road. People can understand this guy, and most people are in this position to understand that they're sending their kids to public schools that are basically, they have to actually have referendum after referendum to fund their schools because the state isn't funding them. They're getting penalized constantly by the state, and all that money is going to private schools who, by the way, don't have the same standards in place. So
this is the Texas
representative, yep. James Tallarico.
James Tallarico, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on what he's got up to.
I have a feeling he's going to run for president one of these days.
Down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nikki Haley is running for president, as we know.
I know.
She got a big endorsement yesterday from the Koch brothers. Of course, it's not really the Koch brothers anymore. One of the brothers died a few years ago, but they still call it.
It's still the Koch brothers company.
Yes, AFP. Yeah. The
Americans
for Prosperity.
Who's prosperity?
Prosperity.
Who's prosperity?
Rich people.
That's right.
Rich people's prosperity.
Yes.
Yeah, they give a big endorsement to Nikki Haley yesterday, and that's a huge plus for her. And
a lot of money.
It all looked like that was going toward the Florida governor.
You can see these individuals, these billionaires, are basically gearing up just to make sure that they've got somebody in place that they can put in there, or at least support for president if Donald Trump's whole thing goes south and they put him in prison, which is where he belongs. But,
Yes. Well, the American for Prosperity spokesperson, Emily Seidel, she's a top AFP official, says we can't keep looking to politicians of the past to fix problems of the future. That's why they're selecting Nikki Haley. She represents a new generation of leadership and a bold, positive vision for the future.
Wow.
Yeah, so they are endorsing her instead of DeSantis.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I think Nikki Haley's been around for quite a while. I mean, she isn't like new to the scene.
Not new to the scene, but she doesn't have a lot of political baggage either. I mean, that's
true.
the thing. She's not got a lot of negatives. She was governor of South Carolina. She was ambassador to the UN. She stood up to Trump. Now she's running against Trump. So
positives there.
And
right?
her numbers are going up.
Not 81 years old or 77.
Right. Yeah.
Or
she's
fat.
I think she's in her low 50s. So she's got a big future ahead of her. And now the Koch brothers are, what they bring to the table is multi-millions of dollars of campaign funding so she can set up a real organization, a real campaign organization.
The Koch brothers, AFP, the thing with them is that they are not only just that organization or group. Mm-hmm. They're like this, this octopus of corruption, just the tentacles stretching across our country. You can just see the graphic on that.
So thank you for painting that picture. Well, yeah, but they've got plenty of money. And once they jump on board, then there are other big money donors that say, oh, the Koch brothers are going with her, we're going to go in too. So that's really, it's a huge endorsement.
It is. It is.
So we'll see how she does in the poll. I mean, the Iowa primary is only a month away.
So
right?
what do you think? With Biden now rolling out the student loan forgiveness program, do you think that might sway a few younger people to maybe go his way? Not younger at this point because these are old student loans
still
that they're forgiving, basically. Yeah,
10 years later, still paying them off.
That's 813,000 student loan borrowers are now getting emails that their loans are wiped out by the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. Now, we get a lot of junk emails.
Right?
Who's going to believe that email, right?
You think it goes right into the file there, the
junk
spam
folder?
File? Yeah,
the junk folder. That's what I'm thinking.
Better check that.
Or, you've got this package at FedEx. Why don't you call us and tell us if you want us to deliver it? I mean, it's another one of those kind of emails.
Right.
So this is a Biden administration. You're getting money back for your student loan, or it's forgiven now. So who's going to believe that?
Well, they better believe it.
By the way, I think that here's some of the language in that email. Congratulations, your student loan has been forgiven because of actions by administration. Look to take the administration took to make you receive that relief you earned and deserved. And the reason why they're able to do this and why it isn't unconstitutional or the Republicans aren't raising a rancor on this is that for too long, according to their email, for too long, the student loan program failed to live up to its commitments, and millions like you never got the relief you were owed because of errors and administrative failures. I vowed to fix that, and I'm proud that my administration has delivered on that promise. So there you go. That's
Signed
that's
Joe
the
Biden.
language. So if you see that kind of language, starting off with congratulations,
pay attention.
it's legit. Take it out of the junk folder and run with it. I don't know what you're going to do, but
celebrate.
Yeah,
have a party.
Yeah.
Hey, no more student loan paybacks.
Constantly checking your student loan program to see, is it gone? Has it been taken down? So
that's a good. How do you certify? I mean, how do you know for sure that that's? You just got to check very carefully for that particular email.
Right, and usually if you get something from .gov, it's legit.
Okay,
you can't make that one up. You can't. That can't be faked. So.
You're sure on that, huh? Okay.
No, I am sure on that.
Okay.
I work for the census.
Okay.
That's .gov, census.gov. You can't make that stuff up.
Okay.
They don't pass out .govs to just anybody, Huh? Pasties, on State Street, .gov.
It doesn't work like that.
No.
All right.
I'm just mentioning a restaurant that Gordy definitely wants to go to.
I do.
Next to the Capitol.
Yeah.
They make pasties.
Mm-hmm. We have clear skies, 21 degrees, 6:49. Back in just a couple of minutes. Stay with us.
Like the bones of a man, hold my head inside my hands, show me to another land, take me as I am. No, you can't.
Cough.
10 minutes before the top of the hour.
Mad Radio, WMDX, 92.7.
Yeah, John and Gordy for Wednesday, hump day. The deer season, the hunting season, it's all over, John.
It is. In other words, they're going to cancel hunting from now on?
Just for this season.
You sure?
Just for this year.
All right. I mean, and, it continues to decline. The people who want to go out and hunt, declining simply because, no one wants to go out in the woods where crazy people have, AR-15s.
Yeah. Get all liquored up and start shooting at anything that moves.
Yeah.
Every single region of Wisconsin, every single region saw fewer deer killed during this past gun deer season.
Here, listen.
Compared to recent average totals. We got the Yoopers.
The only time we leave the camp is when we go for beer. The second week of deer camp is the greatest time of year.
So there you go.
Yeah.
The second week.
These numbers are courtesy of the Department of Natural Resources. It's down 17% this year.
That's outrageous.
Well, it is. And also the 5-year average is also down. About 11%, I believe. But the number of licenses down, and that we had people from all 50 states and 27 countries from around the world participating in the Wisconsin deer hunt this year, and it's all they're attributing a lot of the lesser counts to the lack of snow, tracking snow. Sam, you went out hunting, right?
I did, yeah.
Was it snow that discouraged you the most? Not having any snow at all? Did that just say, oh, well, that put a damper on everything. I'm not going anymore.
Well, it was nice and warm. I only went out opening morning, yeah.
But you couldn't track any deer because there's no snow.
But you can see
tracking. I didn't take a shot at any, so I don't know how it would have gone. But
exactly.
You saw a couple of deer, though.
I did, yeah. Saw a couple.
Anybody in your party, your hunting party, get any deer?
Not opening weekend, no. My dad went out after. I don't think he got any either, though.
So there you go. It's just, there's no deer anymore. Well, they have CWD, You don't want to get that in your brain because they say it is possible that it could be transmitted from meat of a deer into your brain. So that really hasn't helped anything. And by the way, you know what? That really is a problem. Yeah. And the Republicans in our state capitol have basically said, we're not going to do anything about CWD. Nothing. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Even though they did something about it in Illinois.
Chronic wasting disease.
Yes. Now, of course, in Wisconsin, they have done nothing to help deer hunting, the deer hunting sport, nothing at all. So just, give credit where credit is due.
Okay.
All right.
That's it for the deer hunting stories for this year. Put a cap on it.
No, there's probably going to be more, some analysis by the DNR, and they're going to figure this thing out. Deer hunting is very important as much as I think, get rid of the guns. The deer hunting is important because, farmers need these, the deer the population reduced because of crop damage.
That's right. Okay.
And we're for the farmers. We want to give away everything to the farmers because they're our food supply. That's what we want to do. We want to make it better and easier for them. Now, if Trump gets in, he's going to get rid of all the dairy farm workers and the ag workers.
What?
That are immigrants. They have visas, or maybe not. They're here illegally, but they're working in the fields or in the dairy farms, and they're going to all go away, and we're going to sit here. But that was one of the things I saw a guy on Chris Hayes last night talking about the impact of Trump's agenda. And if that goes away, prices for food will just skyrocket. You talk about inflation. If you get rid of the people who are actually supplying the food to us and making sure that we get it and picking it, that's going to make food prices go right through the ceiling. And there are not a lot of Americans that are going to go out and do this kind of work. Not only that, and I found this out, I didn't know this, but Trump wants to put a 10% tariff on all products coming into this country. That's 10% more that you'll be paying for almost everything that we do buy.
Mm-hmm. Across the board, 10% on any imports.
Everything.
He's not cars. Yeah. Everything. Wow.
So
that's
talk about inflation, but no one's talking about when you bring this stuff up, but this hits your pocketbook. This is what it's all about. You don't want this to happen, obviously. I mean, there are other circumstances like, after coming out of COVID, there were supplies that were short and prices were hiked because of that. And then, of course, greed by most of the commercial providers of food. They decided to, raise their prices, and now, they are grossly making money hand over fist.
Sam, what'd you have to say there?
Just jumping back to deer hunting real quick. We have a texter who's listening while they're in their deer stand right now, listening in on the Civic Media app because
that's right.
Muzzleloader season runs through the rest of this weekend.
I forgot about muzzleloader. Sorry, but good point.
And then archery
till January.
That's right.
And did you see there was an elk in McFarland?
Yes, wandering around looking for a mate.
McFarland?
Yeah. Well, you never know. McFarland may not have a lot of, female elk, but, we'll see. If anybody's going to find a female elk, it's that male elk wandering through McFarland. So,
keep us posted on that. See how that male elk does.
And Joel Clayfish, who used to be a representative at the state capitol, a Republican legislator, he's very good friends of the Devils in the afternoon. I don't know why. This guy's insane. He's the guy who pushed archery, hunting with bows and arrows near high schools and elementary schools and grade schools. Yes, because, there are woods and there are animals wandering around near schools, right. And you got to clear that out. You got to have people shooting arrows around schools.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
No.
And somebody pointed out also another text in here, .gov is legit. You were talking about .gov.
Yes.
Anything that comes from .gov is legit, but .gov.com is out to get you.
Yes.
So you do have to be careful about that.
Yeah, it's good to mention that.
Good point.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
6:58. We're going to catch up on news and weather and whatever's happening in sports.
Well, we've got more coming up. The Don't Say Gay law in Florida is expanding. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Now it's going beyond students and protecting them.
We'll find out more after the break.
We'll be right back to the action right after this message.
Let the sun shine. It's the John and Gordy Show.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Mama Edwina's genuine, authentic, real imitation frozen simulated pizza pie with an average of 53 anchovies per pizza. This is just an estimate, however, and your anchovies may vary.
Yeah, it's all about the anchovies.
I hate anchovies.
Me too.
Mad Radio, 92.7 WMDX. Why would anybody have anchovies on anything? It's just a salty fish, right?
It's all, it's a matter of taste.
No taste.
No taste at all?
Yeah, if No. Okay, I know there are people.
Have you ever
like
had
it.
smelt, John?
I love smelt.
Oh, really?
On pizza?
Well, not on pizza. I've never had it on pizza.
I don't think so.
My dad used to go down to Lake Michigan and smelt fish and then come back with a bag full of smelt and fry them up, and it was just delicious, crispy
stuff.
Oh man.
7 minutes past the hour, 21 degrees. It's clear and cold this morning, and we'll see sunshine. Beautiful, bright, beautiful sunshine all day long. It's going to be gorgeous.
Okay.
Up to about 42 degrees.
Yeah.
John, did you see this in the news yesterday and last night? There's a big dust-up from Mike Pence and his new book, or his book that came out recently. It's all about punctuation.
Yeah.
Punctuation and emphasis.
Yeah, I saw this story. It was very strange because, it was a written passage in Pence's book, but it really comes across differently if you say the passage.
Yeah. And we've got a little bit on this now. ABC News was reporting that in conversations with the special counsel, Jack Smith, earlier this year, former Vice President Mike Pence was asked about personal notes he took after meetings with then-President Donald Trump, with one line of questioning dealing with the placement of a comma in a quote from Pence's book. Let's listen to this.
There are new details emerging about former Vice President Mike Pence's conversations with special counsel Jack Smith. ABC News is reporting some specific details from those conversations earlier this year, where Pence was questioned about personal notes he took after meetings with then President Trump. And one line of questioning had to do with the placement of a comma in a quote from Pence's book. That he told Trump on Christmas Day 2020, quote, I don't think I have the authority to change the outcome of the election on January 6th. That comma there, that's key. ABC News reporting Pence told prosecutors it should never have been placed there, that it was supposed to be an admonishment.
Commas matter. Every word matters. Every piece of punctuation matters. Think about how that changes the meaning of this sentence. On the one hand, it's written with the comma, which would mean, in the conversational sense. Sir, I don't think I have the authority to do that. Without the comma, which Pence now says the comma shouldn't be there, it means, Donald Trump, that I don't think I have the authority to throw out the election. So that comma, it may seem trivial, but it makes a big difference in the actual meaning of the sentence. This trial is going to happen. It is under 100 days away from right now. Mike Pence is going to be a pivotal witness for the prosecutors. He has this sort of unique standing here where he's both an eyewitness and a victim. He's a victim in the sense that he was the recipient of Donald Trump's pressure campaign. He was the one who the rioters were chanting for, but he's also a witness to crucial one-on-one conversations at times that he had with Donald Trump. And there's no other person on the planet who can give prosecutors the kind of insight that Mike Pence can give them.
So there you go. It's all about the comma, where you put the comma. And that's going to be part of the trial. But, it's nuanced. It's a little thing, but it actually does change the emphasis of what he was telling the president.
I'm just wondering, maybe that's why the MAGAs don't use any punctuation at all.
Really?
It's a serious problem.
But, it has come out that Pence was actually leaning toward...
He wasn't going to go in to certify the election. He wasn't going to go in, and Chuck Grassley was scheduled to go in his place to do Trump's dirty work. And I had, I watched Chris Hayes talk about this story, and I was waiting. He never brought it up. But why did Pence eventually go in? And it is because his son told him to do it. He says, this is your responsibility. You can't not go in.
Mike Pence's son told him, you got to do this.
So it's not like Pence, because he is...
he had this revelation.
He got a revelation thing. This is the most important thing I must do. I'm driven to do the right thing. No, his son convinced him to go in and do his job.
Wow.
My God.
So
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
And anyway, so that's the importance of a comma. Check your punctuation before you publish your book. I think it's another way that he wants to just sell more books. Maybe the book sales were starting to lag a little bit.
That's right.
Because he came out with his book a while back.
Now I have to make a change in the book, take that comma out, and sell a whole bunch of new ones.
And Liz Cheney's got a new book. We can talk about that, too.
Yeah?
But, she's got a new book called Oath and Honor. And there's a lot of stuff in there that she's revealing about Kevin McCarthy and how Kevin McCarthy knew that Trump lost the election. But, again, he, after a couple of days after the insurrection, he changed his mind and said, oh, no, he won the election.
Right.
A lot of dirt coming out on that one.
I love that.
All these Republicans, turning on their own Republicans. I mean, it's all kind of imploding from the outside and going in.
Yeah, they don't even need us anymore. Maybe it's the way to put us out of business here. No liberal announcer is needed anymore. We've got Republicans turning on Republicans at this point, and
Well, once they're not in office, they
or not
are
running. That's
not
it.
running. They feel free to actually come clean with all this stuff and and tell the truth.
But one of the interesting things, and my mega friend in Milwaukee constantly reminds me of this, is that his news sources have none of this information. This is not an issue. He probably doesn't even know that Liz Cheney has a book, probably doesn't know that Pence, didn't want the comma in that particular spot. He's completely devoid of any of the stuff we're talking about on this program.
Well, one of the
different
things
world.
In this Liz Cheney book, she also calls out Mike Johnson, who, this was way before he became the House Speaker. His speakership came after Cheney finished her book, but Cheney recounts how Johnson pressured Republican members to support an amicus brief to throw out the election as election results from 4 states Trump had lost, including Wisconsin.
Right.
And Cheney says, when I confronted him with the flaws in his legal arguments, Johnson would often concede or saying something to the effect of, we just need to do this one last thing for Trump. Isn't that something?
Yeah, beautiful.
And as they were signing this, she talks about this scene where all these guys are signing on to this, right? Mm-hmm. All these representatives, including Republican Congressman Mark Green of Tennessee. Cheney writes, as he moved down the line, getting ready to sign his name to this amicus brief, Green said sheepishly to no one in particular, the things we do for the orange Jesus.
Absolutely.
Orange Jesus.
Yes.
So they knew as they were signing that thing, they knew that Trump lost.
That's right.
And they signed on anyway. Just one more thing for the orange Jesus.
Now coming up, we're going to be talking about Gen Z, and not being able to vote. That is,
wait a minute, why not?
Too young. We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that, and we'll also talk about, and this seems like a major focus by the Republican Party at this point, and that is to attack colleges. They really do want to control the student vote in a dramatic way, and they want to control voting basically, and they're taking rights away. A recent court case, by the way, was just astounding. You've got to remember that all these court cases were decided for long ago. I mean, decisions have been made because of voting rights and the Voting Rights Act. Well, now a court decided that regular everyday citizens and citizens groups cannot sue over election violations or for voting, for putting roadblocks in the way of people voting. They cannot sue. They don't have standing in court anymore. Only a federal court can deal with that. Only a federal AG can make that determination, can press that lawsuit. But regular, everyday citizens, they say, are banned from challenging,
Is that just for presidential elections or federal elections?
No, all elections.
All elections.
Yeah, all
State,
elections.
local.
Right.
It has to be done in federal court.
Federal.
That's
They can't. I know.
That doesn't make any
for
sense.
years, it's been the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Now a court has said this, and this is how the swift movement of taking away your voting rights is happening in this country. And we're going to talk about, changing the age of voting for young college students, or maybe just defunding colleges because for some reason Republicans want speech controlled on those campuses. Remember the old days of free speech on campus?
Well, and you could bring in any speaker that you wanted.
All of that.
Right.
All of that. They were just adamant about free speech on campus. Oh, those conservatives, they need a voice on campus, right? Because, they're huddled in a corner in a classroom someplace because they're afraid of the other students intimidating them and mocking them for having conservative values. This is ridiculous. It's so stupid. I can't even believe they're making that argument, but they are. Anyway, they want speech controlled on campus, and they're going to fund colleges, and we'll get to that story as well.
We had a comment here. Somebody texted us, Andrew, in fact, from Verona, going back to that comma, that we were talking about with the Mike Pence book. He says, it sounds familiar. It depends on the meaning of what the meaning of is.
Yes, remember that.
Yeah, back to the Clinton years.
Yeah.
With, Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Well,
depends what is. Hillary. Help me out.
Made such a big deal about that,
It seems
that indiscretion back then. So
doesn't seem like that big of a deal now.
Yeah, when you consider somebody trying to tear apart the U.S. and destroy the Constitution and get rid of democracy, it kind of pales in comparison at this point, right?
It does. Yes, it does. Right. A pause to contemplate all of that.
This is they had a graph, and I thought this was interesting. CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC mentioned Clinton's deplorables comment.
Oh, yeah.
Nearly 9 times more than Trump's vermin comment. Isn't that amazing? Because vermin and referencing the opposition as vermin is very Nazi-like.
Well, yes.
And not real democratic at that point. But the media decided to ignore it. CNN, 70 mentions of vermin as opposed to 553 for deplorables. Fox News, 9 mentions of vermin, 513 mentions of deplorable. And MSNBC,
Hillary.
112 mentions of vermin as opposed to 596 for deplorables. So,
quick break. We'll be right back. Whistle along with John and Gordy. 20 minutes past the hour. Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX. 608-879-8255 is our number. And you can text us with your Civic Media app.
Kind of like that whistling song.
Whistling past the graveyard. What's that old phrase? Something like that.
Well, it doesn't apply to anything we're doing here on the show, I hope.
No, it doesn't really. But
so
We're trying to bring back whistling is the idea.
And foot stomp.
As a thing.
Remember, yesterday I talked about this.
Yeah,
if
whistling.
you want a hit song, whistle or foot stomp.
Yep.
Those two. Now, that may have applied maybe in the 50s and 60s more so than today. But, hey, a rap song with foot stomping, I think could work.
I think I'm all in on that. You were talking about Gen Z.
Yeah.
People not being able to vote until they're 21 years old.
This is so insane.
Who's talking about this?
This is crazy stuff. Came across a tweet from Scott Walker, our former governor. This is crazy stuff.
Former governor.
It is. He thinks so poorly of Gen Z that he wants the voting age raised to 21. And he says that you can't be trusted, the Zs can't be trusted to think for themselves because you are so indoctrinated while simultaneously trying to indoctrinate you. Vote accordingly. Anyway, this is...
that was a tweet from...
That's a tweet from Scott Walker. And, obviously not making much sense still to this day. Now,
why would he go there?
Why would he go there? Why would he say, they don't think well. They think poorly, and they're being indoctrinated, so their thinking is incorrect and wrong. So maybe they should wait till they're 21 years old. And it's weird for him to come up with this because he is the president of Young America's Foundation, and that is a leading organization for young conservatives on more than 2,000 campuses that he helps students find, support, promote conservatism, and take action. Now, he's telling them, he's the president of these organizations on campus for speech. He's telling them that they don't think well, they think poorly, and they can't vote until they're 21. Now,
it seems counterintuitive
to me. It seems counterintuitive. I know. It seems crazy, right?
Doesn't really make much sense, but... So a person can go into the military when they're, 17 or 18, I believe now?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So you can go and...
Fight for your country.
Yeah, defend America and all that, but you can't vote. He doesn't want you to be able to vote.
Right.
Okay.
And recently, student voting surged for open-minded candidates like Janet Protasewicz. Now, Walker wants to raise the voting age from 18 to 21. They can't think for themselves because they are so indoctrinated. You keep that in mind, That's just, made up. They're being indoctrinated. They now act like this has been proven, this is the way it is, and they do this all over the country now. Indoctrination, woke, right? Everybody's woke. They have no proof that any of that is happening. It's just made up.
Well, it just seems like
fiction.
The MAGA extremists, again, trying to restrict voting, trying to do the gerrymandering thing with maps, trying to do everything to restrict the voting rights of minorities.
Exactly.
And, young people. And that's the way to hold on to power. That's the way they want to hold on to power.
You would think they'd run.
They don't want to legislate anything.
You'd think, Gen Z would be really angry at this attempt to take away their vote. Really, really. This is just amazing stuff. Now, this is happening in Arizona, appalled by what they called a lack of control on speech. Oh, no, not that. In Arizona State University, GOP lawmakers said they're entertaining the thought of maybe the prospect of deep funding cuts for the state's universities. Beautiful, right? I mean, they've done this in Wisconsin. Now, this is a comment from Republican Senator Sonny Borelli. He said, this cancer has infiltrated our academics and our armed forces. So not only are the colleges infected, cancer that has infiltrated colleges, it's also in the armed forces. So how much time do we have?
3 or 4 minutes.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know if I can get the story in. Stop giving me signals. You're freaking me out.
Just
okay.
Keep going.
Anyway.
We'll cut you off when we're done.
I know you will.
Don't worry about it.
Another one says, this is another Republican telling donors, hear us. Pull your money from Arizona State University.
Oh,
wow.
Hey, wow.
You got to.
It's all about the money.
That's that's what he says. All they understand is money. So don't put any money into our colleges anymore. it's hard to even imagine this, right? And get this, donor T.W. Lewis, whose contributions funded a speaking engagement, the guests to get on campus, right? In his view, they're not teaching free enterprise like he would like on their campuses. T.W. Lewis said he was surprised at faculty's resistance to his proposed curriculum.
He was surprised.
This is a millionaire donor, right? They won't take my suggestions for subject matter. What's wrong with them? He's outraged, and this is what he wrote. Public universities do not want any donor input or influence in the classroom. He was outraged. The classroom is their turf. Nobody tells them what to teach. They have complete freedom in the classroom. That was a big no-no for him, which led him to, by the way, withdraw his donation for 2 years after they made those decisions not to take his advice with a curriculum. Urged conservative voters students to stand up.
It used to be, back in the old days, here we go again, way back when, that if a big donor came along with a big chunk of money, a couple of $1 million or $10 million
they
or
named
$20
a building
million, they'd name a building. That was all you would expect. Right. You get a building named after you. That's it. Thank you very much for your donation. That building will have your name right on the front of it. You can come and cut the ribbon. Thank you very much. That's the way it used to be.
Now they want curriculum.
Yes.
They want their curriculum.
Yeah.
Free market. Why isn't that in there? Because you know what? It's really not a free market. You're controlling it. All right. Let's get to Mike Johnson. This is a comment he made about the uneducated in college.
If you look at the data, you realize the reason that, for example, the Republican Party is attracting less and less more highly educated voters is because they spend so much time in the academy. And the universities are run at the faculty level, the administration level, usually by liberals almost entirely, and sometimes by radical liberals, right? Socialists and others. And so these students are being indoctrinated instead of educated. So these voices and these opportunities are so critically important just so that they're exposed to the other side. And if we abandon those forums, then we effectively yield that whole marketplace of ideas to one side, and that does not serve the interests of the country. And
there you go. And I think that's the comment that's making the rounds in the conservative circles now, is that they shouldn't vote until they're 21 because they're being so indoctrinated. And he said it right there. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. It's indoctrination. They're learning. They're not learning enough. They're not very smart anymore. Going to college, liberal colleges, they're not very smart.
So they shouldn't be voting until they get to be 21.
How is this even possible?
Just roll it back.
How can they say this? And people are just sitting there not, well, you know what? Again, like my mega friend in Milwaukee says, he's not watching any of this stuff. He's not exposed to any of this information whatsoever. So
the John and Gordy Show will continue after this.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Milk of Magnesia Light, bringing you the same great taste of Milk of Magnesia you've loved for years, but now with only half the calories of other leading laxatives.
That's us, John and Gordy, Mad Radio 92.7, WMDX. Happy to have you along for the ride. 608-879-8255.
I'm standing now. My head isn't cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
No, you're fine. You're watching yourself on Facebook, and we should not let you watch yourself on Facebook.
Not watching myself.
Yeah, you are.
I've never looked at that.
Oh, okay.
And I should, especially when we have guests, because sometimes they're pictured as well. And, well, you know how it is. And by the way, you can get our podcasts on Spotify.
Yes. Civic Media app also. You can send us a message. Or you can call us like Joe called us.
Yes.
She's on the line right now. Good morning, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, guys. You're on fire this morning. I mean, one great story after another in terms of, wow, I can't believe this.
Oh, I know.
It's just unbelievable. There must be smoke coming out of the studio. At any rate, I want to go back to what a couple of the stories you had in the last half hour that I just think are so important and worth returning to. You had the story about Pence and the famous comma. Where does his comma go in the sentence that he had?
Right.
He's explaining to Jack Smith. The sentence is, I don't think I have the authority to change the outcome. Okay?
Right,
so,
exactly.
I don't think I have the authority to change the outcome. No comma. You put in a comma. I don't think I have the authority to change the outcome. I'm not really sure.
That's right.
As compared to, I don't think I have the authority. Mr. Trump, I don't have the authority.
Exactly.
So we're arguing about a comma, but I would. People brought up a great example of the importance of commas, and they had it. Okay, so you say, "Grandma, let's eat," you say, "Let's eat, comma, Grandma. Let's eat, Grandma," as compared to "Let's eat, Grandma."
Yeah.
Okay, two different senses.
Big difference.
And it really matters.
I know. In a mega home, that could make a life or death decision.
Absolutely.
So,
and I think, the importance with words was then stressed with the story that you had about and tiny brain Scott Walker coming out with his wonderful advice that people that the voting age should be raised to 21. And you used the language, and I thought it was very important to say that people can die for their country, or can serve their country,
right.
But they can't vote. I would add on to say they can die. The expectation is that they can die. If an IED goes off and you die, you're left with grievous injuries that affect you for the rest of your life, spinal cord injuries that you have to be in a wheelchair because of the injuries, or brain injuries that mean you can't work, you can't do so many things because you have been compromised in this way. He's fine with that. He is fine with that.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
It's
unbelievable.
It's really detached.
If you're willing to make the sacrifice for your country, then you ought to be able to vote for your country. And the response to that ought to be outrage, absolute outrage. 18, 19, 20-year-olds, great. You can get your head blown off, and he's fine with it. He's absolutely fine with it, just as long as we keep that youth vote under control. And it gets back to the idea of words and commas. This stuff all matters. When people other people as vermin, as Trump has been doing, or the worst, where this guy out of Arizona in your previous half hour was speaking about the cancer within the armed forces, cancer within the
colleges.
The cancer, it implies deadly, that people have the right to disagree. It implies deadly if you disagree. Well, guess what? We were set up to disagree. This whole framework of our Constitution and our government is right in the first.
Right. In the other
all the rights are outlined, and the last one was to address the government for the redress of grievances. Okay?
Absolutely.
You got a grievance, you can complain about it. You can seek redress. And I find it amazing, this creeping in the military, creeping in the university, and that Scott Walker, the little twit who has never served, can stand up there and say, I don't think you're worthy of voting. You don't think the way I want to.
Exactly.
You're not worthy of voting. unbelievable.
He should actually be fired. He should lose his job as president of the Young America's Foundation, because those are campuses. He's on campuses. He's representing college students, and he's telling them they can't think correctly, that they're thinking wrong, that they're indoctrinated. Amazing stuff. Just amazing.
And it's just that, and apparently the Republican Party apparatus is totally fine with a guy saying, "Go ahead, cut the voting age, or raise the voting age to 21." Right. Well, once you start raising it to 21, let's start looking at people that we don't want to vote at all. You know, you have to take a citizen test in order to vote. Gee, maybe women shouldn't be voting. You know how flighty they are, for God's sakes.
Elderly,
indoctrinated.
You name it. Yeah.
Well, and I would add with the elderly, indoctrinated. You want to talk about news? I mean, let's come on, people.
Well, the whole thing is,
they're doing a great job, and
I just want to bring up that the Supreme Court now has a standard, that it historically has to have happened in the past in order for it to be constitutional today. So women didn't have the right to vote in the past. So, it's just totally made up. They shouldn't really have to vote. It's not beyond anyone's imagination that they'd actually broached that subject.
Yes, and they're preparing the ground, if you will. They're preparing the ground and edging closer and closer to say, rich people get to decide what the curriculum's going to be in schools, in universities, in everywhere.
That was grotesque, wasn't it? The billionaire donor. Why aren't they taking my curriculum? Unbelievable. Because
maybe you're not an educator, maybe that's a reason. Anyway, just great stuff, you guys, and keep it going. We won't send the fire department to deal with the smoke coming out of the building. Okay?
It's not that kind of smoke.
That's right.
All right,
Joe. Thank you very much for your call.
Thanks, Joe. All right, it's
great points.
Yeah, I know, and it's just it's mind-boggling to think that they are insinuating that there is poison, cancer in our universities and the military. Now they have the right to trash our military, which they used to get on Democrats all the time for trashing not even actually trashing them, just saying something mamby-pamby about the military. Oh well, they're un-American, right?
Yeah, or we
now
cut
they're
the military
trashing
budget.
the military.
Yeah.
Tuberville is trashing the military, and they can get away with it. They can make that statement. Just an amazing thing. Why don't we get to the? Let's get to.
We've got some comments.
Yesterday
we played a comment from a minister over in Iowa.
A Christian message.
Yes, and evangelicals are starting to bail out, at least some of them, get off the Trump bandwagon.
More and more people are speaking out.
And there's another
former
Christian
Bush aide
message.
Peter Wenner's message to Christians who are supporting Trump despite the dehumanizing rhetoric. His quote is, "They've jettisoned almost everything that you claim to most cherish in your life to make your inner peace with this man, with a sociopath, an unfiltered sociopath." Why don't we play that cut, the Bush aide?
Unfortunately, there is a long history of this dehumanization, these passions consuming people, including people of faith. And that's why I think there has to be such a pushback from others to try and, in a sense, shake them and to say, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're a part of? That you have jettisoned almost everything that you claim to most cherish in your life to make inner peace with this man who's a sociopath, an unfiltered sociopath. And he is undisguised. I mean, that's the other thing which you're getting at. He's undisguised in who he is and what he wants to do. And that not only pushes him away, but it brings him toward him. And it's just a sickening episode in the history of American politics and the history of American Christianity.
Amazing stuff. As more and more of this commentary is coming out, asking evangelicals to rethink who they're putting their faith in.
And we had that evangelical. Let's play that cut from yesterday about this is over in Iowa. This evangelical leader who had these comments about Trump.
And what you're seeing from the former president is character being revealed. Character being revealed, first of all, with Governor Reynolds and what he did by cutting a video against her. Two of the most popular governors and the most results-producing governors in the country. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Iowa, Kim Reynolds. And you completely throw them under the bus and you call them names, and that just because they don't bow the knee to you. That's not leadership. The number one hurdle for Donald Trump is, I've never met a dad or a mom or a grandpa or a grandma who have told me they want their son or daughter or grandchild to grow up to be like him. That's a big deal. Trump deserved to lose my endorsement. Matter of fact, I've never endorsed him, but he proved he was not worthy of the endorsement. Of me, of the ministry, and by extension, the broader body. And I believe Iowa will rise up. I believe Iowa will team, because I think they're seeing through this as well. This is smoke and mirrors. This is not leadership our country needs.
You know, I used to think that way too. They'll see it. They'll understand. They'll see the light someday.
Well,
boy,
but there does seem to be a trend of some more Republicans turning against
that is true.
The Trump train. We were talking about the Koch brothers earlier today, or the Koch organization, supporting Nikki Haley now. That's a huge endorsement. And then also, some other Republicans. Liz Cheney's got a new book. She's bringing out all this information about what went on behind the scenes with the Republicans after the insurrection. So it just keeps coming. They're seeing the light, at least some of the Republicans, and starting to speak the truth.
I want to bring up something else that'll just really rankle you a lot.
Oh.
And
what do you got?
That is saving Social Security, all right? Now, I don't know when this conversation, I'm going to play it in just a moment. I don't know when it took place, but it really just reveals so much. You know, they talk about taking care of the deficit and the runaway spending and, paying our bills, but they won't repeal their tax cuts. And I think that is number one on the list, and why Democrats don't emphasize that each and every time the Republicans want to cut spending. Well, let's start with the tax cuts, because that's what's taking all the money out of our general fund to pay for all the programs that we really need to support this nation with. But instead, they're not going to tax the wealthy. They're going to try to give them tax cuts, and this cut demonstrates that. This is Mitt Romney basically saying that, taxing income above a certain level, millionaires and billionaires, for Social Security tax, that is off the table. That isn't even there. You don't even bring it up. This is just stunning stuff. I mean, this is automatic. Let's listen to this right now.
Senator Romney recently tried to get an up or down vote in the dead of night on his so-called Trust Act, which would create an undemocratic, fast-tracked, closed-door process to cut Social Security. They know it is so toxic to talk about what they want, they tried to legally create a smoky back room where they can figure out the best way to rob people of their earned benefits.
Your organization, sir, continues to say that it is designed to cut benefits. Why do you say that?
If you're not going to cut benefits, then you're going to do it all on the revenue side, which would be something that we support. But going on the history of commissions in this town, what happens when politicians get behind closed doors is they talk about things that are deeply unpopular, like cutting Social Security.
We get behind closed. You're a group dedicated to saving Social Security, but you realize that if we don't come up with a bipartisan solution, we will not save it. Do you understand that?
I recognize that the problem is the 23% benefit cut that you keep bringing up, but the solution that Republicans put forward is a 23% benefit cut. So that's not a solution. It's just the problem sooner.
Boy, that was not an answer. What solution do you have to actually solving Social Security on a bipartisan basis?
We would ask millionaires and billionaires to pay the same rate as the rest of Americans and not cut one penny of benefits.
I understand what your answer is. This is back to the think tank versus the do tank. What would you do to get bipartisanship? How are you going to get bipartisans to work together?
I would like the American people who bipartisanly, overwhelmingly don't want to see their benefits cut. I would like Republican politicians to have to answer to them.
There you go. So, I mean, Mitt Romney, that's think tank stuff, taxing the wealthy. That's not real.
7:49, we'll be right back.
At 1580 AM, the John and Gordy Show.
Here we are again, 10 minutes before the top of the hour. Sunshine today, highs in the low 40s. Right now, 22 degrees.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. How's your temperature reading there, John? How's your blood pressure?
It's
Rising?
up there. It's up there.
I hear you.
All right. So anyway, Congressman Jamie Raskin torched House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer for rejecting Hunter Biden's request to testify publicly.
Yeah, they've been asking him to testify for months now.
Yeah.
He said okay, and now they,
I want the public to watch this, okay?
Yeah, right.
All right. They really want, the Republican, their intention is, of course, to create and manufacture more outrage, and they want to do it behind closed doors so we don't actually see the commentary from Hunter Biden. They just want to make it up. They want to put their spin on it before anything else happens, and I think this is a giveaway on that. This is a quote from the Republicans.
Okay.
Why give Hunter Biden and his Democrat colleagues an immediate public platform to obfuscate and set the narrative? See, they don't want the Democrats to set the narrative. Well,
they're going to be there. If it's an open
narrative.
forum, they'll be there too. They can say whatever they want to say.
That's right. Well, but if Hunter Biden gets to say what he wants to say in public, then the Republicans can't paraphrase that and spin it and frame it in a whole different light. So that's the problem. And Jamie Raskin was very upset about it. And this, by the way, this is a comment from Red State. It's a right-wing publication. Red State said, Raskin previously demanded Steve Bannon appear in closed-door testimony before appearing publicly. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Not the same case, though. It isn't the same because Raskin actually suggested that Steve Bannon appear in closed doors. He didn't demand it, okay? Right. So there's a real big difference there. He's suggesting it. So anyway, this is what Raskin wrote. Let me get this straight. After wailing and moaning for 10 months about Hunter Biden and alluding to some vast unproven family conspiracy, after sending Hunter Biden a subpoena to appear and testify, Chairman Comer and the oversight Republicans now reject his offer to appear before the full committee and the eyes of the world and to answer any question that they pose. What an epic humiliation by our colleagues, and what a frank confession that they are simply not interested in facts and have no confidence in their own case or the ability of their own members to pursue it. After the miserable failure of their impeachment hearing in September, Chairman Comer has now apparently decided to avoid all committee hearings where the public can actually see for themselves the logical, rhetorical, and factual contortions that they have tied themselves into.
It's quite a statement there.
Yeah, not mincing words. Not mincing words. I wish you would have actually said it in public so we could, just play the cut. But I don't like reading stuff on the air.
Well, I hear you. Yeah.
So,
but he makes a great point there. I mean, Hunter Biden would like to just get it all out there and do it in public, and they want to not do that.
That's
Go
right.
behind closed doors so they can hear it first and then put an angle on it.
And then they can put their little commas in.
Right.
And change the
punctuation.
Meanings. That's right.
It's all
I was thinking about the comma thing, with Pence. Now, what does it sound like in the audiobook?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Did he read his own audiobook?
I don't know.
We'll have to do a little research on that. Yeah. We'll have to get on Audible and see if we can find that.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That would be a good clip to play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You ought to be a lawyer. Peterson.
Well, Peterson.
Peterson
Unfrozen
and Sons.
caveman lawyer. do we have that
unfrozen caveman lawyer? I don't know. We have to do a little digging on that one.
I gave him some. I gave Sam some clips on that because just in case, because Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer was a bit on Saturday Night Live with Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
One of the great bits of all time. It took me a while to wrap my mind around the whole concept of Unfrozen Caveman.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that? No, you don't have it.
Okay. Okay. Well,
so it's terrific stuff. So, well,
all right.
I was expecting something. Yeah. All right.
Well, we covered a lot of ground here today. We covered Gen Z not being able to vote, according to Scott Walker.
That's
Shouldn't
true.
be able to vote till they're 21. All these restrictions that the Republicans are trying to do on voting rights. And, again, the thing before the Wisconsin Supreme Court, we'll hear something about that, hopefully by January, the end of January, before they have to either redraw the maps or do whatever they decide to do with that.
What we're going to do one of these days.
We haven't heard anything more on that.
And what we're going to do very soon, I hope, is to maybe get into Rebecca Bradley, Justice Rebecca Bradley's past.
Okay.
Because it's very important to know that now, because they're, of course, insinuating that Justice Protasewicz is obviously telling everybody how she thinks, her political points of view, and that it'll somehow skew the court and their decisions. But Rebecca Bradley has quite the history, and that was when I was mostly blogging in the older days. I got to put another blog post up. I know I have to do that, but I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, you got to update. It's democurmudgeon.blogspot.com.
That's right, yeah.
A lot of the old comments that you had back in the day, and we can go back and research some of those. And
in fact, I might even
them.
put some of the source material that we're doing here in the program
of course.
there,
That
and
would
you
be
could
the
just,
thing to do.
get the links, go there, and read it for yourself.
And in fact, we have a lot of old John and Gordy clips on there from back in our cable access days.
That's right, the movie review show.
Yeah, go back to that. Boy,
that was actually in my apartment.
Yes. That was, when we think back, it's like 30 years ago.
It's a long time
some
ago.
Of that is, we both had really dark hair back then. The old days. We could reminisce all day long, but
we could. You want to?
I want to be in the present moment. That's the way to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Oh, sad news in the Peterson family. My son has COVID.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Are you feeling all right?
I am. Well, yeah.
Why didn't you wear a mask
I got
today?
the booster. I'm good. And he
good.
found out he just got sniffles the day before, and he took a test yesterday and found out he had it. So he's in isolation and wearing masks around the house, and basically that's it. So
all right. Well,
but he's good. He
gets well soon.
He had boosters before that, so he should be covered.
Well, thank you for sharing. Hope he's feeling better soon.
It's a drama.